Vampire, werewolves, and zombie stories have captured audiences for centuries. I was listening to a YouTube content creator recently, and she was complaining about people stealing her style and copying her content. And she was really, really upset, like close to tears, to the point of saying she's shutting down her channel because she was violated by one of her subscribers. So today I would like to discuss how vampirism, werewolfdom, and zombies are impacting social media spaces. So let's get started. First, let's begin with vampires. Vampires are considered undead beings that sustain themselves by drinking human or sometimes animal blood. They're often immortal, possessing supernatural strength, speed, and heightened senses. Some legends depicted them as charismatic and alluring, while others portray them as monstrous and demonic. So, how did people become vampires? Well, first, they have to be bitten by a vampire, and the most common transformation occurs when a vampire bites a human and either drains most of their blood or allows them to drink vampire blood before dying. The process varies across different myths. Some stories, particularly old folklore, depicted vampires as humans cursed for committing terrible sins. Some fictional worlds introduce vampirism through dark magic, rituals, or supernatural infections. In modern sci fi movies, vampirism can be the result of a virus or a genetic mutation. You may be asking yourself, Monica, so what do vampires have to do with social media? Well, vampires are basically reanimated corpses held to suck the blood of sleeping persons at night in order to survive. They don't have their own blood. On social media, they don't have their own ideas or content. So they resort to stealing other creators' works. If you see them in real life, they're usually good looking with a lot of personality. One article that I was researching said that you can even meet them in a club. You know, those fine brothers, I guess, for the men and the fine sisters for the brothers, they hang out at the clubs. Because they are usually charismatic and charming, it's easy to get lured into their traps. These traps are akin to grifters and scammers hunting for their next victim on the internet. Why they became vampires? Well, some are unwilling victims, cursed or turned against their free will. Others seek immortality, power, or revenge and willingly embrace vampirism. In certain stories around the world, it's a hereditary condition passed down through vampire bloodlines. So now that we know a little bit more about social media vampires, let's talk about those social media werewolves. Werewolves are definitely not as charming as vampires. They are humans who transform into wolf like creatures during a full moon. They possess heightened strength, senses, and healing abilities. Some versions say they retain their human consciousness, while other versions say that they become mindless, bloodthirsty, aggressive beasts. So, how do they become werewolves? They're either bitten or scratched by a werewolf. A common trope in modern werewolf stories is that the condition spreads like an infection. In ancient folklore, a human could be cursed by a witch demon, or even the gods as punishment. Some old European myths say that drinking from a wolf's paw print can cause this transformation. Some werewolves are born with the ability to shift inherited from werewolf ancestors. Although werewolves look human by day, when the full moon comes out, so does their true nature. So, how does werewolves relate to social media? Well, they're the wolves in sheep's clothing. Although they resemble man's best friend, the dog, they are fierce predators, devouring their prey quickly and greedily. Regardless of whether they eat, maul, or assassinate their prey, they leave behind a mess. These shapeshifters pretend to be cool with you, but their Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality is not one that can be trusted. So, why do they become werewolves? Often it's involuntary, and the person struggles with their monstrous nature. Some embrace their wolf side for power, vengeance, or protection. In certain stories, werewolves packs exist with their own hierarchy and culture. The first time I heard about zombies came from watching the Walking Dead series. Zombies are reanimated corpses, typically mindless and driven by hunger, often for human flesh or brains. Unlike vampires and werewolves, zombies really have personalities or consciousness, though some modern stories give them some intelligence. So, how do they become zombies? Through a virus or infection. In most modern horror sci-fi shows, a zombies a zombie virus spreads through bites, scratches, or airborne transmission. In ancient folklore, necromancy or black magic, and voodoo traditions, zombies are raised from the dead through rituals or spells. Some stories involve military or corporate experiments that accidentally create zombies through their scientific experiments gone wrong. In older myths, some might be cursed to rise from the dead and wander endlessly. Zombies are often related to a snake god with supernatural power to enter into and reanimate a corpse. Zombies are said to be a part of Haitian and African folklore. They're not flesh eating monsters, but people trapped under a sorcerer's control, rendering them brain dead or under a spell. They are programmed to do what they are told. They cannot think for themselves, create for themselves, or act on their own behalf. On social media, they look for fresh content from others and copy and paste the materials as if they created it themselves. These types usually clone themselves into being like someone else instead of using their God gifts, talents, and abilities. So, why do they become zombies? Most victims are unwilling, turning after being bitten or infected. Some stories involve intentional zombie transformations, such as warriors raised to fight in an undead army. In certain cases, people are transformed while still alive, losing their free will but retaining some awareness. So let's summarize. Each creature struggles with losing their human self, whether it's craving blood, transforming into a beast, or becoming a mindless undead. Vampires and werewolves often spread their condition through bites, while zombies are usually the result of a plague or dark magic. Vampires and werewolves sometimes view their transformation as a gift or a curse, whereas zombies really have any control over their fate. It would be remiss for me not to mention another type of being, those that create faceless and nameless videos. You don't know who they are. You don't know what their true purpose is because they choose not to be seen. And many of them use voices that are not their own. So they're actually nobodies. What do you think? I say all this to say that although these creatures are folklore, they represent certain types of mindsets and characteristics of many people throughout the world. What's done in the dark will come to light at some point. If you or someone you know find yourself sucking people's content and not contributing, tearing down others but won't put yourself out there, or being a victim of circumstances beyond your control, I'm here to tell you that there is a cure. Go to beamthemupshop.etsy.com and snag a copy of my 2025 personal development plan so you don't have to suck anyone's blood to be successful. You can learn how to become the best version of yourself and move beyond the blockages holding you back from achieving your goals. So until next time, I'm Monica Renee. Peace and love.